Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this latest iteration of the comic book market report. Looking at these past comic books, these are books that have recently come onto the scene as far as people buying these books, trying to flip these for profit, or possibly buying them on the low with some option news obviously coming through, or a new storyline, or just some recent activity. Regardless, I have one in particular book that's stayed pretty consistently warm. I wouldn't say hot. I wouldn't say cold. This book is one that I think everyone knows and will have long-term potential ever since it actually came out, honestly. And it's a Bronze Age book, I would say. And I feel like it's out of all the Bronze Age books, I feel like it's the safest one to get into. You want to get in a good grade, obviously, or an investment grade copy for sure. And it's definitely slabbable. I wanted to kind of add something new into these reports to kind of think about, well, sure, this book's 25 bucks or $10, 15, $30. But if you slap it in a 9.8, and I'm going to emphasize 9.8, nothing lower, is it worth it for the risk, for the buy-in, and for the long-term slabbability of that book? Some books that are even on this list are not slabbable, in my opinion, just because more than anything, they're newer. And I feel like the market's still a little slab happy, and there's not as much return or risk off. Uh, there's not as much risk off, type deal to slab. I think again we're getting a little slab happy on certain books, like if a 1 in 50, 1 in 100, I get you can display it and all that, but there's some books that I just think there's too much risk to slab. And so each book that we talk about today, we're going to see if we can slab these books, or if it's a good idea to slab the books, and then we'll just go from there. So without further ado, let's get into the report. I first off want to thank everyone for watching these shows that I do weekly. It's a really good thing, I believe, to put out a weekly market report on certain books. I try and do about 9 or 10 at least. If the market's pretty hot, which it wasn't this past week, I wouldn't say hot. I should say liquid. There weren't that many new books, so I didn't really have a time to look at some new books that came out or what have you. But these are books just on my mind and past shows that I've talked about. So without further ado, let's get into it, and hit that like button for me. Thanks. All right, let's take a look here. So first off, we have Captain Marvel #4. Obviously, this is a newer book. I think the potential for this, I don't know. I know like Fedora talked about this like a way back. It was a nice flip if you got this for like 25 bucks. It's a short print. It's a beautiful cover, but it's really risky in my opinion. Now that I look at it. However, if you really believe that people were just trying to sell this book because they got in at a really low price like myself, then more power to you. I just think that the fact that Captain Marvel, you're banking on this being a rare book. You're basically just banking on the cover. There's nothing inside the guts. So for me, it's a little risky, but no risk it, no biscuit kind of thing, right? This book out the gate was going around 225 raw earlier this year, and I sold mine for 170. I was happy with that. I got in again like really low. I personally just was, I mean, I'll be honest, like I was just trying to flip this book. But let's take a look at the market lately on this particular book. Okay. Captain Marvel. Okay. So listings are kind of skewed on this. I feel like people are just trying to pick a price that doesn't really show what the market is, and what's kind of what you're seeing lately with any book as a key, quote unquote. Okay, let's see here. 152.50. See, back in May. Actually, that's my sale. I'm sorry, it was 160 is what I sold it for. I did see in April. I did see one though in 9.8. Okay, this is the one I saw. 144.50. So that's really unfortunate for this book because I think a lot of people were banking on the fact that it was short print, and a lot of people are buying Captain Marvel number fours, and so I don't even know who the artist is honestly, but have Black Cat in it. I think that's what really drew people to this book initially, but perhaps, and this is just me just making assumptions, perhaps it was just the idea that this was a shorter print book and it had Black Cat on the cover. That's all I can think of. But to each his own. We'll let the market speak for itself, but let's go on to the next book. So another FOC 2024 pick. I remember Brains taught this or called this book out back in like December, I want to say, in this Discord. I'll try and post his Discord in the comments here, but yeah, I wasn't really crazy about this book, but I understood the potential that this would have if you bought it for 25. It showed up on a couple shows like after the book came out, and it was 55 to 60 out of the gate, which makes sense. It's a Art Adams book, and it's an X23. That's something where I can kind of get behind. I know it cooled off a little bit, but it's a little it's a little different. Hold on one second. Okay. And anyway, so anyway, we give me one second. Okay, sorry about that. Momentary pause here. But yeah, I don't know what the market's doing on this book. Let's see. Give me one second. Captain Marvel. Wolverine 42. And this series was hot too. I mean, this is a great series. So $30 in about a week ago or a couple days ago, $30 here. So this has dipped down quite a bit. I think if you didn't flip this, you might be holding on to something. And kind of going back to, is this slab worthy? I'd say 50-50. I could get away with just getting this book for 25, not waiting for the market to do its thing, not risk not getting a 9.8. And I would probably just flip this book because I gotta assume that Wolverine 42 isn't as, it might be a highly ordered print run, but just based off of nothing else going on in the guts of this book, I think like you are just basically banking on the cover for itself. It's a great gimmick. It's a great cover to have. This one went 55 best offer. See, this one went for 78.77. That's definitely someone like myself, Sequential Art, shout out to you. It's really banking probably on a 9.8 going for like $100 plus. And I don't know if the market's really doing that right now. I'm actually holding off on selling a lot of books and just letting them go to market. It's a little risky right now. And so a lot of the books I'm going to put is just like, probably pretty close to market ending price, but like best offer if I really want to let go of it. There's other books I just like, I'm cool with holding on to, or that ones I just don't want to give up because I paid a lot of money for them. Uncanny X-Men 333. Now, this was a perfect example of a show that went nuclear, and then people freaked out and bought the first appearance of the villain in the book or the show. And then the villain, I can't remember if he died, but essentially he's like gone. He's an afterthought. He may come back later, but and then the book just kind of, it went, I don't think it toppled because I think this is a beautiful cover, and Bastion's such a cool he's such a cool villain anyway, so may hold on. I don't know. The tough thing with villains is like ultimately they're always defeated, right? So yeah, it's tough to invest in a villain, but I don't think this is a slab worthy book. However, I think it's a good book if you find it in the wild to try and get 15 to 20 bucks out of it, if that's your thing. But I remember this kind of run during the late 90s was really a really fun run. But yeah, so this book was, $25 out the gate when he showed up and kicked some ass. Again, I don't feel like it's slab worthy. It's just too flash out of the pan for me. And I don't know if people were slabbing these like right away anyway, but let's take a look. So okay, it's from Australia. $20 here, so that's fair. $12.99, $9.99, $12. So yeah, not too bad. I'm not mad at that. It doesn't look like there's any slabs in this book though. Let's just take a look. CGC. Okay, so June 7th, that was a couple weeks ago. 179.99. And I gotta say, this is probably really tough in 98. If you are gonna slap this book though, do the newsstand. That's what I would go with. $75. I mean, yeah, if you find a $2 newsstand and sold it for 75 and a 9.4, like you're winning there. But see, look at this, $96 on April 16th. Yeah, it's just too bad. On this if you were banking on that and whatever. So $21, nice. I'm actually kind of side note. I'm really bullish on Pokemon strategy guys right now. So I just was able to get one for $15. Sorry, going back to the slabs here, 229.35, 179. Where was that? 108 for 9.8. See, it's just kind of tough. 9.6 is getting like nothing. Try and find a mid-grade newsstand that you can get for like a 9.4. I think that's the way to go. I don't even know. It's a direct edition. That's a tough sell. Whoever bought that, but yeah, the newsstand's kind of the way to go with these newer X-Men books and that particular like kind of category where it's a villain and all that. So anyway, looks like it's come down. Web of Spider-Man number 36, the first appearance of Tombstone. This book has kind of gone up and down with a lot of spec, and I don't know. It keeps going back and forth for me, or from what I see. Like there's rumors he's going to come back or come into an MCU show, and there's rumors he's not going to come back, and yada yada, vice versa. Da, da, da. I think Web of Spider-Man is an underrated series for having like first appearances in general. So if you find like there's someone with a graveyard, which is like I think it's like 33, I can't remember, but there's a lot of good stuff in Web of Spider-Man, a lot of potential. I'd go with the newsstand just because the market likes newsstands. I know people hate newsstands, so I'm so sorry, but let's take a look at the market. I know there was some news earlier this week. Spider-Man 3. I do 36. Gosh, what is this 30? Hold on a second. Yeah, Web of Spider-Man 30. Okay, so $15 for that looks like a newsstand. Okay, so $15, not bad. 9.0 newsstand. I don't know if I bought the newsstand for $1, maybe that's worth it. $50 for a high grade, quote unquote. And these were like a couple days ago, so this is like I think Saturday these ones ended. First appearance of Tombstone. So not too bad. Okay, $3 for a newsstand. Someone's trying to get a 9.8 in those books. So again, kind of tough with this book. I don't. There's no solidified evidence that Tombstone's going to be part of any show coming up, and it's a Marvel show. So like, I'm not paying 10 to 15 for a Raw. Honestly, I'm being really picky with this. And again, Tombstone's a villain. So, and there's a lot of villains I think you could go after. And yeah, so first appearance of Tombstone. I don't think this is slab worthy unless you have a very high grade newsstand from what you can see in a 9.6 at least. This is just one of those overly printed Marvel comic books, and we'll just take it from there. So anyway, on to the next book. Real quick, though, I just want to thank everyone for tuning into these shows. We've gotten a lot of traction, I would say, in the comic book and video game market reports I've been doing weekly. I try and do these like kind of after the Sunday sales go through. So try and find me on Tuesdays or Wednesdays for sure. And like always, please hit that like button, subscribe, tell all your friends. We're trying to get to 700 subscribers. So far we're at 665, which is great. We've been doing the show or this channel network, what do you want to call it, for about a year and a half now, and it's been a labor of love, if you will. So I do appreciate everyone's support for that. And yeah, Strange Academy #1. This is something that I've been kind of looking at just because I have a couple copies in 9.8. So this was a pandemic darling, great story. Scotty Yuns, I mean, I think his magnum opus, if you will. I'm just kidding. That's very, very intense. But yeah, it was just a fun comic book, and it was cool because it had Doctor Strange. You had a main MCU character, and then it had Doctor Voodoo in here. Magic is also like one of it's basically X-Men meets Harry Potter, right? A lot of rich characters. The art was amazing. The writing was really good. The villain in here is like I think what was really cool about this story. If you really think about it and take a look back, it's I think it's a great book for like kids because kids I feel like will understand. I think kids will understand, you know, kind of what am I trying to say here? Kids will be able to relate to the story here, and it's a good life lesson to be able to work with others, and sometimes people have differences in each other, and to not dive into temptation or whatnot. So yeah, I think this is a really good series to really pick up for the story. It's since kind of died down, unfortunately. I think Scotty Young's got a lot of projects going on, but this is really like where I think he just hit a home run grand slam in the character development of the story, and with the villains are really great. There's an internal kind of struggle, and I think every kid should honestly read this. That's kind of my take on this book and the long termness of the book. It's come down quite a bit. There's a ton of covers for this book, so it's kind of take your pick here. But let's see. I'm gonna go and I mean this sells pretty liquid too. So I wouldn't get any of these books, the Strange Academy Finals books. Like I know this book caught a lot of heat. Shout out to my boy Richie, Spec Media. If you're not following, give him a follow. But 2951, I mean, that's pretty good for an older book or a newer book that people thought has come down. This Strange Academy 13 Art Adams was a beautiful cover. I'm shocked that it's going for 25. I really thought that was going to go for a lot more. 9.6 for signed version, not bad. Strange Academy. I'm looking for Strange Academy 1 here, peeps. Okay. And this was a fun series to flip. Okay, 984. Wow, the Art Adams wow, that kind of hurts a little bit. 9.6 going for 52.50 for the cover A. The Art Adams variant was very popular. I remember I had that like and it did not do very well. Or grading wise. These are kind of tough 9.8s to be honest. Let's see here. Do I and again, do I think this is slab worthy? I think the variants are. I think this particular book is one. The Ramos variant 1 in 25 is, but the cover A I think is also. The other ones like this guy who I actually have in a 9.8, like I kind of regret buying this in 9.8. What I was trying to do is I was trying to find there's a value play essentially. And I should have gone for this book. I should just pay the extra 25 bucks and gone for the cover A, but I felt like that was kind of a cooler cover, but it only shows like half the team. Whereas I think if you're going to slab one, you gotta slab this one for sure because it shows the whole team or the ratio books as well. But anyway, Strange Academy #1. Yeah, so much potential with this series. It could be a cartoon. It could be something. I don't know. We'll see. G.I. Joe Transformers #1. There's been a lot of hits with the Energon universe on this guy. It sells for around 10 to 15 bucks. The thing I have about this book is that it was during the era of a million comic books, and I just don't know the supply and demand is going to be there. You can kind of cast out anything below a 9.4 in this, and I'd buy it to read, but I wouldn't buy it to invest unless I was getting a slabbed version. But here's the thing. I don't think it's worth getting slabbed because this could be a flash in the pan. We don't know if it's going to be a cartoon, if it's going to be. I know there's a Transformers cartoon coming out, I want to say, but I don't know. They didn't indicate whether or not G.I. Joe is going to be part of that. The one thing this book has for it has it going for it is the Energon universe has liftoff, man. I mean, it's must read comic books is the Energon universe. Again, I wouldn't get this graded. If you were going to invest in it, I would go for a newsstand 9.6 or higher because I'm very conservative and when I invest in, especially if I'm buying slabbed. But let's take a look at what the market thinks. Okay, G.I. Joe. Wow. Okay. So 460 for a newsstand, that's a lot. I just don't know if I would pay that much for a newsstand or for a 9.8. I just don't believe in it enough. 324, 325 for direct edition. Because I just don't know if it'll hold value there. That's another thing too. I think when you're thinking about slamming a book or paying like these exuberant prices for them, is it going to hold the value at that price point? Like, forget about like trying to make money. Like, think about holding money. You got to think about like, okay, here's just kind of like a general thing that I think people should think about. Is 500 bucks going to hold on that book in 9.8 versus a raw copy of first appearance of Black Panther? That's like a 4.0. I think you're going to go more so with the Black Panther, even though there's more than likely no new Black Panther shows coming out, movies, whatever. I think that's what you have to ask yourself when you're like when you're gonna buy one of these books for a 9.8. So just food for thought. That's kind of my food for thought for GI Joe Transformers, just because there's not enough information at this point. That could change for me. I doubt it will, but it could change for me. Here's another thing. This is a GI Joe and Transformers comic book. This isn't a first appearance. You could technically, I guess, like tell the market this is the first appearance of GI Joe and Transformers in a comic book, but I don't even know if that's what it is. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. This is just a fun one. I thought TMNT Adventures #1. This is the closest thing to a cartoon comic book I could find that was what I mean by that is it adapted well to like comic book and show, because honestly, like that's how I was introduced to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I wasn't introduced via like the most recent movie, which is a little more gritty and more what have you. I When I see this book, I just think nostalgia. It takes me back to that place. I have a 9.4 signed by Mr. Eastman. I'll probably hold on to forever because I met him when I got it signed, and he was a really cool dude. If you ever think about staying in line for someone for 3 hours, like he's worth it to me. I mean, just as him being that icon, still coming to shows and signing stuff, and then just being like a really nice guy. It was a very cool interaction with Mr. Eastman. So I thank you if you're watching the show. You're not, but I remember back in the day, 100 Raws and Newsy. I have a Newsy in 9.4, which I'm not mad about, but it's a wall book for me. So let's take a look at the market. Okay. Turtles. Adventures. Okay. Adventures. Sorry. Adventures. So wow. Okay. 8.0 first print. That's not mad about that, but we're not talking about that. So 1,500 bucks. This is signed by the entire cast. Okay, that's pretty tight. Signed, remarked by Kevin Eastman. Wow, that's quite a bit. 9.8. So wow, I mean the newsstands is kind of the way to go for this book. 9.6, 9.8. That Archie thing is pretty tight. And there's the first Bebop and Rocksteady. I did not know that. I wasn't thinking about that one. I remember reading this book, and I do remember that now. I wonder what my 9.4 would go for. I don't think I would sell it though. So it's pretty healthy. I mean, like for wow, 9.8 went for $3.95. Yeah, this is a very healthy comic, peeps. Maybe I should sell mine. You guys buy it back. Ah, man, I can't. Okay, cool. Well, that's actually shocking to me. I'm actually a little shocked that it's gone for that high in the lower grades, but I guess people are still heavy for this book. I remember a lot of shows were showing this book off in top 10 lists and just kind of your spec of the week. And yeah, I think this is a great book to have. But on to the next. Before we talk about this book, I just want to thank again everyone. Just remind everyone to click that like button, subscribe, and tell all your friends about this. And again, thank you for your support. But this is the book I was kind of talking about. Like, people always talk, oh, what book should I buy for 3 to 5 years and long term, but they don't want to pony up the money. Well, I would say if you can get a good grade for what this is selling now, this is a book to definitely get in on investment grade. I would say investment grade in this book is like 6.0 and above. Anything below that, I'm still not mad at it, but if you need to put up some money, get a nice grade. Make sure it's preferably if it's a 6.0, not off white pages. I would say if you're going off white, nothing less than a 7.5, just because I want that premium off non off white to white, not off white pages type deal. And if you're spending this much money on this book, you really got to be cognizant of the grade and the kind of the uh, condition of the book itself as well. It's a liquid. It's again, there's not real like solidified news. Like there's rumors of Ryan Gosling being cast by as Ghost Rider, which I think isn't bad. I wish they would go for just like a newer person in general, but nonetheless, let's take a look at the market. Like you're gonna have to have some money here, so just know that Marvel Spotlight, Marvel Spotlight, 5. Okay, we're gonna look at Raws too. So 9.4 goes for 19,500. That's insane. That's just a lot of money. So yeah, 5.5 autographed by Roy Thomas for $250. Like, dude, there you go. 530 in a pretty good grade. 8.0. I mean, like, that's not. I mean, would you rather have this or a first appearance of Ahsoka 9.8? You know, 3.5. I'd probably stay away from this. I wouldn't buy that raw. I mean, at 650 at that price point, and like, if I wouldn't pay that much for a book that looks like this. And watch out for those reprints too, peeps. 5.0, I'd probably just like be like, I just point out the extra $500 or $600 and just get a higher grade. 3.5. I mean, I don't know. Everyone's kind of different, right? 6.0, that's perfect. That's a really good deal, I think, honestly. I'm not mad at that. But yeah, I think for me, this is kind of my high grade investment or high big boy book. You know that you're gonna pay like around 1,000 to up to 3,000 depending on the grade. This is like your big boy of the week, and I think this is gonna hold value. And I don't know if I wouldn't say it's a buying opportunity because I haven't been looking at the most recent sales of the past like 6 months, but I feel like you'd be happy to park your money in a book at a 9.4 signed, went for under 3K. Like that's really good, honestly. So on to the next. Action Comics number 775, kind of coming back down to the different universe. I haven't really talked about any other. This is very Marvel heavy. I mean, like, just what I know. So apologies if you guys are like, oh, he doesn't do any other books into the Marvel. But yeah, I just didn't have time. And this is going to be the last book of the show. Again, I just want to thank everyone for watching these shows. We will keep doing them, or I will keep doing them on this network. And hit that like button for me. And make some comments in the comments below. Call me out. Tell me like I'm done. Tell me like every book should be slabbed in this report. You are an idiot, Ferd. Or tell me if there's a different segment you guys want me to look up. I will do it. Be a little more specific if you ask me to do that because I will dive into it. But I want to know what you guys want to see. I think the viewer is always right. So maybe not all the time, but anyway, we had some like I remember our last live show. We had some weird like dude like trying to call us out for stuff, and he was just wouldn't make any sense. It's like he was talking like in a foreign slang, if you will. But anyway, probably doesn't know how to read books. Action Comics 775, first appearance of Manchester Black. So this is kind of like thinking, okay, what do we know as far as the established DCU? We know that the Authority's coming back or coming to fruition. We know that Mr. Gunn is doing a pretty solid job on trying to get stuff out as soon as possible. We got to give him some time, though. I think that's what viewers need to understand is like if you want good quality content, we need time and we need quality writers to like let them do their thing, right? Game of Thrones is a perfect example. They rushed the last season and it was the worst season of all time in television history. Yeah, I said it. But yeah, I was just thinking of like, okay, what books other than Authority number 1, because it's a little bit out of my price range, could I go into long boxes today, try and get a high grade, and hold on to until those announcements come out? I don't even think you have to wait until like an Authority trailer, you really just need to wait until Authority like gets announced like specifically to sell this book. You don't even have to wait for Manchester Black to be like really if you want to get like if you want to play conservative, right? Because who knows? He may not even make it to, or the team may never, or sorry, yeah, Manchester Black may never even make it to this new DC universe. So who knows? I feel the market's definitely cooled this book. I think when rumors came out, this book was like around 25 to 30. It's a later print run 775 of Superman, but who knows? And let's look at the market because I thought this was like a nice opportunity to grab. And here's another thing about this book. This book, wow, okay, it's going for 25 bucks. This book, you can still find in back issue bins, and it's also, I think, not as well known of a book because there's not that much knowledge that's tied into like the Wildstorm universe. And it's Superman, right? So I think the story is pretty like comic collectors like this. And what always pops these books is non-comic book collectors coming into the hobby. So yeah, I mean it looks pretty liquid. I mean, June 24th was yesterday, and people are buying this book. I mean, not a ton of sales. There's probably not a ton of listings either. But I think it's good data to know if you are interested in buying that book. But I would say try and look for it in a store. I bought it for 10 bucks. I'm gonna hold on to it for a little bit. I may slab it soon. That's a potential slab and sell, not slab and hold. But yeah, that's the episode for today. I want to thank everyone for watching and keeping up with these shows. I try and do them after the Sunday sales kind of close. Try and do Tuesday or Wednesday, sometimes Thursday if I got a pretty busy week. But I encourage you all to hit that like button, subscribe, watch the past shows. I think it's still good data to like look at the past shows and kind of click through. I'll try and do chapters one of these days, but I don't have a ton of time to kind of go over this stuff. But I do appreciate your guys' support. We'll see you guys. I'll do a video game show, I think either tomorrow or on Thursday. But I do appreciate your guys' support. Have a great week and stay safe out there.